I think we can start, right?
Yes. Everyone ready? Yes. Okay.
So it's a bit awkward up here because we don't hear our own voice, so we can just hear it on via the headphones. But yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for sharing the lunchtime with us. We feel honored. And although some seats are still free, we have to start. Otherwise, we won't make it through the time. And yeah, welcome to our classroom at Great OMR. So since we won't hear any applause, maybe you can just wave. Yes, thanks. Still some energy there. Welcome, alchemists. Welcome to our presentation about customer activation and content management as a baseline. Before we start, maybe a disclaimer or two disclaimers. One is that this presentation has been absolutely assembled without the use of ChatGPT or any AI. And the second is here and there you will also get some commercial messages from us because we are a profit organization. And yes, so even after the classroom, we invite all of you to stop by at our booth and maybe have individual talks about aspects you found interesting. So you're also welcome to that. But before we start, dear alchemists, we would like to give some room for introduction. So my name is Ingo from Ibexa. But ladies first, Stephanie, you might want to introduce yourself.
Of course. Thank you, Ingo. So nice to see so many of you here. So many content alchemists have gathered here. And I hope we can give you some nice recipes today and have something for all of you in our bags. Now, just so you know who you're talking to right now and who's standing in front of you, I'm Stephanie. I'm partner manager at Ibexa. And over the last few years, I had the honor to work with several online entrepreneurs, technology companies, to market their products, if it's online, if it's a physical product. And I realized over the past few years, the market has changed. It's been more difficult to walk through this labyrinth of technologies to really compete with the other industries, with the other companies on the market. And now, as a partner manager at Ibexa, Ingo and I work with online agencies, with our partners that actually work with the technology on the one hand. But partner manager is also working with the customers, working with different companies that all have the same issues, the same problems they're facing. It's all about making the experience for the customer easier, but not only that, it's also about making the experience for the marketing teams easier so they don't get lost in this huge labyrinth of solutions and strategies. So before I dive too deep, I give Ingo the word to introduce himself because we don't know you yet.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. We've brought along also a third colleague, a dear colleague from us. It's Yasmin, please stand up. And you might do some waving. Yes, thank you. From our partner company, Actito. And Yasmin will talk to you in roughly about 25 minutes from now, maybe 30. Try to speed up a little bit. And yes, also a partner manager at Ibexa that I am, working with agencies and customers. We see so many reoccurring patterns when it comes to how to activate a customer base, but what you also have to do before. So spend some time, some effort on setting up content structures maybe that you can reuse. And of course, you need some strategy, some thinking about it, but also you need the right technology to be able to create good customer experiences. And I give the word to my colleague Stephanie, who will start with you the first couple of minutes.
Oh, thank you. Where do I press? Here?
It's there, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, Alchemy. Most of you probably thought about this title thinking, oh, this sounds like magic. I want to be like Harry Potter, working on a laboratory in front of this bubbly elixir, working on a new recipe on how to create gold. And if you think about it, marketing and content alchemy and alchemy itself isn't so different because you need a base material, you need information, and then you need to find the right recipe, the right mixture to really engage your customers and to have profit or gold in the end. And like an alchemist, you have to navigate through the sum of solutions to this huge amount of information that is there on the market, and also through that huge amount of technologies that's on the market. And as in Alchemy, content marketing is about transforming creation and also combination of different mixtures of different elements to really be successful in the end. Now, let's talk about a content asset itself. Have you ever thought about the name content asset? Because what we realized when we did prepare for this seminar today is that content lost its value over the time. We don't see content, an article, a blog article, as a real value anymore because it's free on the internet and the internet is just full with information. So it's not really a huge value behind it. But if you think about an asset in case of a house or an industry here or a machine or a huge building, it's worth something because it's a high investment and it's been taken care of carefully so that it doesn't lose its value and that it's increased its value. And same goes for the content item. If it's been taken care of, if you really organize it, structure it, think about it, and always check in if it feels well, then you might have it for a longer time and can really increase its value. So we want to keep you thinking content is key to create gold in the end. Now, we have this 3-step recipe for you today. It's a really easy recipe, so stick with us. We start with the Ibexa part, which is with me and Ingo, and we will tell you about the easy part that all of you probably know is create and publish content. But creating and publishing content is not so easy because you have to have a nice content strategy in place. It's like a tree. If you have nice and strong roots, if you really think about how you want to create your content in what strategy, then you can grow your tree in a really big way. It can have nice fruits, nice apples or cherries if you prefer that, but you really want to have strong roots that everything is based on. And then the second part, there will Yasmin explain to you in the end, or in the second part of our recipe is the customer activation. Because only having content isn't enough. You really need to reach your target group and activate your customer with the right content at the right time. And that's what Yasmin will then cover. And the third step is easy, it's harvest gold. And that I'm sure we're all happy to hear if the revenue goes up, if the marketing activation had been successful, that's then the step where we all celebrate. But before we go too deep into the gold part, we start with step number 1, and I hand over to Ingo.
Yes, also, thank you, Stephanie. Asking a question to you, so everyone happy with their customer experiences that they create, no struggling, no technology problems, no strategic questions you have, everything fine? I see some shaking heads, I see some nodding. Maybe you're advanced here and can do the seminar next year. But of course, if you start the journey to creating very good customer experiences, there are some overarching factors that are prevalent in nowadays marketeers' reality. And this is the reality that the marketeer is facing oftentimes. So when even starting to creating content and then using it in a structured way, there are so many options, there are so many tools out there, there are so many processes, especially in larger organizations, already mid-market, starting or mature organizations. You have so many issues to deal with, what kind of channels I use. So the complexity is high these days for marketers. Some of the factors outlined here, speaking in terms of alchemy, so a lot of laboratory equipment for your laboratories out there. So this is just a MarTech map of 2023, and I'm sure it has increased until 2024. But just to shed some light on the complexity of the options that there are that you can also use in terms of technology to orchestrate your contents and to engage your customer experience well. So very high complexity in the MarTech landscape. Another trend is also that we are, as marketers, facing and dealing with shifting expectations of potential buyers and customers. And more, it's important to deliver personalized information over the different channels that you might be using, because otherwise it will be perceived as more and more worthless by customers that you are talking to. So it's a prerequisite in B2B as well in B2C. Especially when you look at this, that the expectation by consumers is high, and also the potential to be disappointed when not be taken seriously in terms of personalization is also very high. So it's very important to be able to deliver personalized content and messages to your target audiences. Also, this is a prerequisite raising up the standards high for tactics and strategy as well as technology. And as said, customers expect smooth interactions, consistent messages across their journey, across departments, and this is a standard set today. It's not questionable. The question is how well we can deliver on that. Yet we see the customer journey is so important. We see fragmented customer landscapes with many of our potential clients that we are talking to, and in the projects that we're working on with our partners. So there is an ambition to create these smooth journeys, to be very well equipped on every touch point, yet these journeys are somehow interrupted oftentimes, either because the right technology is not there, the data flow is not there. Sometimes it's organizational problems that organizations have, so silo thinking inside the organization, and that all contributes to the end result of fragmented customer journeys. To sum up, this can be described also by the experience gap. So we have two sides of the same medal, actually. One is the high expectation of the potential customer that we were talking about, visitors of your webpage, addressees of your newsletter. On the one hand, the expectation. On the other hand, we should not forget about the marketer itself. So also the marketer or the brand is part of this. And marketers have so many stories to tell, have so much content that they could distribute, but sometimes lack the processes or the technology to do so. And what comes out in the middle is the experience gap. So also marketers should not be forgotten. They are in the end on a day-to-day basis that need to operate and assure that customer journeys are smooth, easy, and the expectations are being met. So they need the right strategy and the right tools, of course. To sum up, we see an urgency also to make the job of the marketer easier, as easy as possible, at least to simplify it a little bit and to take out complexity. And to do that without compromises on the customer journey or the customer experience. The other way is true, even to do it in a way that the experience can be better and can increase and gain.
Oh, my turn.
Stephanie, I think content also plays a role in this.
You guess?
Do you have your content in order and structured?
Not all the time, Ingo, not all the time, at least not if I look at my wardrobe. Well, because if you think about wardrobe and if you think about this huge MarTech map you just saw, I had the idea and I had the image of my own wardrobe in mind, because there it really needs some structure. It does need some organization to really find what we have there, what's in there. And I'm sure maybe if your wardrobe is organized and clean, I'm sure you have maybe your attic or maybe your basement that would need some organization, some structure. Because if you continue just putting stuff that doesn't have another place, there it might sum up in the end and you can't find anything. And I chose this analogy because that's actually what we see in most of our customers and most of the companies we're working with. It's a content that has grown over time. It's been growing and growing on various channels, on various systems, on Excel files and on SharePoints and so on, and nobody can find anything, or it just takes hours and hours, and therefore it just costs money to really find the piece you're looking for. Same goes for my wardrobe if I continue buying stuff. But that's another story. You see the analogy. We really need to have a nice structured base layer, and that's what we will do together with you today. But yeah, that's the image I actually forgot I added the image. That's the image that I had in mind, so there you go. We want the right side of the wardrobe. We want some organization. We really want to put everything on hangers, fold everything up, and realize what we actually have in our content folders. But how do we do that with content? It's not that we can just fold it up and put it on hangers. We really need some structure. And with content, we go a certain way that we usually do with the IBEXA partners, but also in the IBEXA solution, because we did face this problem. You cannot just structure content the same way as with physical stuff. It's different. And how do you do that? You start by step 1. That was easy, but we need to define our content types. So a content type is a clear structure of images, of fields that are connected with this content type. What could that be, you ask? It could be something like a news or a blog article. They always follow the same structure. It has a title, it has a short title for mobile displays, for example. It has a body, of course, with a text, an image, and so on. It always follows the same rules. Same goes, let's say, for a social media post. That one's easy, right? But there's also the option to have a contact field that always follows the same structure and can be, looking at technology, also be considered as a content item. And the third one, you probably not thought of, can also be a content item, is a product. Because also products follow a certain setup. They need measures, they need information, they might need a PDF document as an add-on, and so on. So you can really define your content types according to your industry, according to your company. Because every company is different, every marketing team is different, and every marketing strategy is different. So you need your own set of tools to work with, and that's what we define now. Now, I have one customer example brought with you, and I thought most of you can probably relate to that. It's Pierre Fabre. Pierre Fabre is an international company. You might know Aven, one of their brands for face creams, for different skin types, and so on. But if you look at this, it's not only Aven they have to manage, it's over 100 more brands they have to keep track on over international websites. So it's not just the German market or the American market, it's hundreds of different languages and brands to manage. And if you have to manage everything via Excel files and Word documents, it will get crowded. And what you need then for such an international company is a clear structure, one base element that does have different variants. How do you do that, you ask? In IBEXA, I added a screenshot here just so you have a better idea how we would do that, is you have the content types predefined that you can actually see now as the different content types. And you choose what you want to create beforehand. You want to create a blog post, it always follows that given structure we saw previously. So here we have this one item respecting the ocean that we will follow along this process. Now you can use this one content item that we created, link it on the landing page, but it will always refer to the raw data in the back end. So that way, you can use the headless approach. That might be something some of you have already heard. Headless does mean your design and your content is split, and you can use the raw data on different channels, such as landing page, but also on social media or on the app or wherever you want to display it. Maybe on a kitchen machine or in a stadium. So, but that's not enough. Having just the content fields isn't enough yet to really have a nice organization of the content. You need some more, I said, spices to make it colorful. You need locations, such as the different channels. You can have it on the mobile, on the phone. You can have it on different places over your website. Location is key to not have duplicate content. Then you have the different versions, and versions can be different target versions for different target groups, but also different languages that you always refer to that one core item here. And then, of course, there's assets. We want nice images. We might add more assets like a PDF document, but we don't want to save it again and again, just the third and the fifth and the sixth time, because we have different locations. No, we only want to save it once and always keep track on that one place. As for our blog post that we created previously, we have different locations in the blog, maybe at the portal, at the About Us section, maybe also in the social media account. We have different versions in draft, design, and publish, but also translations in different languages. And assets, we have one image maybe for the website and one for the SEO preview. So we have different images that we can also link to that one blog post. Here, we have it in different languages, but it still looks the same. Then for the variants, I just mentioned you can have different variants for different target groups. And here, I think this is where it gets really interesting. Ingo, you mentioned we didn't use ChatGPT, but I would love to use a little ChatGPT for targeting blog posts to certain industries, to certain target groups. Let's say this face cream for younger people, for mid-aged people, for older people. And we can always predefine who we want to write this blog post to, or actually do an in-time personalization if we know this one person here has a certain interest in a certain skin type solution here. So I really think this hyper-personalization just is now rising, and we can do so much with different versions of the content here that we haven't even thought of. So just the translation is the first step. Now, I was talking about the different locations, and I know this can be a bit, or can seem a bit messy, because now we deconstruct all the organization we just created and just have everything on different locations. But you need also here a clear, so to say, content architecture. This content architecture defines that you have one content pool where all the content items are saved in, and they are then referred, as you can see here in channel 1 and channel 2, but they can refer to just as many channels as you want without having the content saved twice. It's always that one content item, and that way it's getting easier. Because whenever you want to change something, let's say this article needs a new title, or you want to add something at the title, then you can just add it at its main home place, I would say, and then it's been changed on all channels automatically. Saves you a lot of time and work, and just makes it so much easier for the marketer to work with it. But in the end, also the customer experience, as Ingo just shown you, this experience gap is getting smaller, and we get close to a unified experience. Now, in the end, the clear content strategy is really the base layer, as I explained in the beginning. For this content tree that we want to grow, you need the strong roots. And these strong roots are being built by a nice and clear content strategy. But having the strategy is not everything. Of course, we need some technology solutions to cover up on that. And Ingo can tell you more about this content, this technology solutions that can support this way on creating the final gold.
Thanks, Stephanie. I think having a strategy in place, strategy first, technology second, is clear. So you need to have a vision of what you want to do, and then you have some tactics and some rollout plan how you want to organize your content. After that, you need a flexible system that can cope with that and is agile enough also to be future-proof once you want to make some changes and you want to do that on your own. You don't want to make a big project out of it. But of course, technology itself plays a very vital role for ambitious companies who want to deliver high-quality experiences, who want to deliver high-quality content on a sophistication level, mid-sized companies, enterprise companies. And if you don't have the technology in place to do that, you will end up creating something that doesn't meet your standards that you want to do. So technology, of course, you have to consider whether you want it or not. We heard about the reusage of content that you can do when you have the right system in place, so do it in an efficient way. And it kind of sheds a light also on where you want to be present as an ambitious company, as an ambitious brand. Today you have to think about multi-channel, of course. And also their technology can help you to be there on time, at the right place, with the right message. Of course, you also have to think about processes, how to get there. So it's not just enough to set up the structure and to organize the content in that way. You also need to define workflows, how to get there. And of course, you can consider issues like automation, so creating standards for what should happen once the content is amended. You could also think of AI, how can that help? And for instance, inside Ibexa, we have taken care of this need to orchestrate processes, but from a business perspective, from a marketer perspective, not so much from an IT perspective, to have really a low-code, drag-and-drop options to orchestrate your workflows on the basis of your solid content structure. And this can mean, for instance, that you also do this in a very efficient way by, say, amending or creating a blog post, and at the same time define the standard that it's being published in all your social media channels. So no copy-paste, no double work, but to do this on an automated basis. Also, where there's room for efforts being taken out, for instance, is in online catalogs, could also be print catalogs, so web to print, so bringing digital world and the analog world together. When you want to have many systems connected to each other, so not just the experience platform like Ibexa, but also maybe an ERP system or a product information management system when you're not using the one that is inside of Ibexa. You have to connect. I mean, this is the reality. There are landscapes that already exist, and you don't want to change everything at the same time, but you want to make your business processes work. And you want to do that with a tool that helps you to make these processes smooth. And there you can have from different sources the data processed, and then, for instance, near real-time pricing in a personalized catalog in a portal or digital sales room for your customer. This is a smooth integration and processing of content. And final example, maybe regarding these processes, and there comes AI into play. AI is bigger. We could have a separate classroom about it, but we approach it from a very practical way with an editorial process. Of course, you can also integrate AI tools into Ibexa workflows to have your content processes optimized. For instance, you create a blogspot, you want to make some amendments, you get some raw ideas via AI that you can then process and finalize and publish multi-channel. So technology is an enabler for what you want to do or what we want to do as a marketer. It's not per se the solution, but it's the enabler for your solution to implement your strategy and your content tactics. And Ibexa is a tool that can deal with this complexity. Also happy to have you as visitors on our booth, by the way. We are also here as exhibitor on the OMR. So if you find anything that's very interesting to you, you want to deep dive into it, happy to visit us there as well. This is what we want to do in the end. So we want to have uninterrupted customer journeys, have all channels addressed well, and do this on the basis of efficient and effective content management. And for that, you could use a digital experience platform like Ibexa. Ibexa is not alone. Ibexa is part of an ecosystem, and we have brought our sister company today that is kind of the same model, but from the other side. So you have the structures in place to have effectively and efficiently manage your content, to roll out your content strategy, to be able to design processes and workflows where it is displayed. But with that, you could potentially turn your content assets into silver. How to turn it into gold? You do it by customer activation, which is the active part of this, active side of the medal. So you have the baseline right, and you can then focus on activating the customer's potential that are there based on the content structures that you already have. So it saves you a lot of time, and you can focus then on your campaign design based on the same content repository. And I'm very happy that Jasmine from Actito is there today, our sister company, focusing now, I would say, on catching the stars. And I ask you on stage.
Sorry, I have too much stuff.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, I had too much stuff to carry. So this is just a sound check. Can you hear me? Am I in your ears? Yeah? Perfect. So I am the colleague that they brought along, also known as Yasmin from Actito. I am a data scientist that works with a fantastic, thought-provoking marketing team at Actito. And before I dive into the customer activation bit, which is the focus of my part of the presentation, I wanted to center back the conversation to the title of this presentation. So Content Alchemy, how to ignite your customer activation magic and supercharge your marketing game. And one of the key components, and I thought the choice of wording was very interesting, is alchemy. Does anybody know what makes alchemy different from chemistry? Sorry, I said I'm a data scientist, so I get psyched about this stuff. So there is a hint. One of the two circles is bigger than the other one. It does sort of mean that alchemy is chemistry and a bit more, but it's more than that. In comparison to chemistry, which is a transmutation of matter that ends when the matter ends, alchemy, just like in relationships, has the ability to grow. It has the ability to endure through time, but also grow in terms of perspectives. And I think that's what your content should be. It should be a vessel for growth that propulses your marketing strategy in general. How do you do that? As my colleague said, one key element to making content that vessel that makes your marketing strategy grow is through activating your customers, what we like to call marketing activation. Now, how do you activate your customers? I also always like to step back and dig deep into psychology. And the way to activate your customers, which basically means interacting and engaging with your customers throughout different touch points in their life cycle, in their customer journey with you, is to tap into a basic need for all human beings. We all need to connect. So you need to forge connections throughout those touch points, throughout that life cycle journey. And the way you forge those connections, again, tap back into psychology, is to answer a very particular need. Everyone in this room feels a particular need to be seen in general. As humans, we like to be recognized. We don't have to feel special, but it's very interesting to feel seen. Somebody has to see through you. And the way you do that is through personalization. Now, what I'm saying is not new. Obviously, it's a psychic analysis, psychology analysis of how you can interact and activate your customers, but it's also something that your customers are telling you. You just have to listen. This is a figure that my colleagues have used before, but I just want to focus on something in particular. So 71% of your consumers expect you to deliver personalized interactions. There is a second figure on this slide, but before I go into that second figure, by show of hands, How many of you have taken those exams where you have multiple choice questions? You've been to school, right? Cool. So there are two types of those multiple choice questions. There's the type where you have to answer questions. If the answer is correct, you get a point. If the answer is wrong, it's just 0. And if you're like me, you don't like to lose. When I don't know the answer, I just fill in arbitrary answer, just in case it works and I get a point. But in Canada, they do it differently. If you put in the wrong answer, you get a minus, so minus point. Right answer, you get a point. If the answer is wrong, well, you're deducted points. It's the same thing with personalization. Your customers expect you to personalize your interactions, so you personalize the interaction, you met the expectations, but if you don't personalize if you don't personalize the experience, you not just go back to square 0, you're actually upsetting your customers. And upsetting your customers in business truly translate into losing business. So if you don't personalize your experiences, not only you're not meeting expectations, but you're also losing business. And the matter of the fact is, today, you can literally personalize everything you can. Because we're talking about alchemy and chemistry, I got excited. And if you know, one of the founder pioneers of chemistry is Lavoisier, who's a French scientist. And he has this famous quote. It goes like, nothing is lost, nothing is created, everything is... Again, you've been to school? So everything is transformed, yes. And I like to put my own spin on it. Nothing is lost when it comes to activating your marketing and using content as a vessel for personalization. Nothing is lost, nothing is created, everything can be personalized. And this is the case of, I took a screenshot of a campaign from Maxi Toys. If you don't know Maxi Toys, either you don't have kids or you're German, and in this case, one of your key players is Toys R Us. And what Toys R Us did is they literally, I can't see a bit that's not personalized in this campaign, to be honest. They used basic information that you get from a loyalty program, so they can personalize client details through an ID. Even the banner at the start of the campaign is personalized based on the gender and the age of the kid, or Kinder. The introduction text is personalized based on the parent's name. The offer that they propose, related relevant assets, that's your content, can also be personalized based on data that you already have or on previous purchase history as well. And then obviously the worst thing when you have a loyalty program is to not use the loyalty program. So they even personalize the number of points. Maybe they'll suggest vouchers depending on the stage you are at. And then we come to the product recommendation, which is just a step further in terms of personalization. It's that extra mile, and I'll go into detail later on with another case. And obviously you can even personalize their preferred store info based on which stores they usually go to when they make their purchase. Now, one of the core values of Actito, and also one of the core values of Quantum Group, to which we're part of today, is brutal honesty. So just lay back, buckle up, enjoy the wave of honesty that's coming your way. All of that is nice. I haven't told you anything that you probably can't find in the research or anything, but we do our own research as well. We have a yearly barometer of activation that we do, and the idea is to gather people's feedback, where their mind is at for marketing professionals, and in exchange, we give them a pulse survey of what the MarTech is like. So we asked people, what's the best strategy for you? What's your priority? And 83% answered that a customer-centric approach, which is basically one-to-one, personalized, tailored marketing, should be the priority. But then there is a gap, right? Only 24% of people actually practice this approach and, operationally speaking, make it happen. Now you must wonder, what happened to the 76%? Right? Where did they go? Maybe they answered multiple questions wrong, right? And it's interesting. So only 24% do it. We know it costs us money if we don't do it. We know that the cost of acquisition today is higher for an existing client. Activating an existing client costs 5 times less then acquiring a new client. So all the arguments are there. Why are we not doing it? So I stepped back and I decided to think about, from a marketeer's point of view, because obviously I work for the marketing team, from a marketing point of view, what could be the hurdles? Can you hear me? Yeah? I can think about two main arguments why we miss out on opportunities. And that's coming from a marketeer. I understand you. Sometimes we have this feeling that we call FOMO in psychology, or in today's Generation Z culture. FOMO is fear of missing out. So sometimes we feel like we're going to miss out on the next technology if we don't step back, if we're not at the forefront of the hype. So we get psyched in what Gartner calls the hype cycle of technology. And again, just like in relationships, there is that infatuation stage. So we mirror all of our expectations on the new technology. That's what happened 2 years ago with Metaverse. That what happened a year ago with CDP as well. So we mirror all of our expectations on the new technology. And then comes something that's also the title of a very nice song, which is The Rise and Fall, right? And for those relationships and technologies that succeed at the end, we then reach a plateau of productivity, and it's actually just a consciousness of reality. And in practicality, what does that technology really do for you? So yeah, I think people get, well, we, because I'm a marketeer as well, we get sucked into that hype of technology. And that's why we miss out on the opportunities. And it's not just my guess. At Actito, we do a yearly event that gathers over 400 people. We call it the Activation Day. It's an activation community that comes together, shares their thoughts, their hurdles, their best practices. And 2 years ago, we had the opportunity to have Thomas Husson, who's a leader strategist that's in charge of their yearly B2C marketing CMO pulse survey. And he spoke about those marketing trends, the hype psychology as well, and how it relates to activating customer data. And I've noticed two metrics from what he had presented that I personally find not intriguing, but I think the world is shocking, to be honest, because you will notice almost equal amounts or equal numbers of people are just as concerned by creating a metaverse strategy. Remember, no one's there, right? They're just as much concerned by creating a metaverse strategy, and those same people don't even have a strong zero and first-party data strategy. So the future, the present, there's a gap, right? We see the picture. Now, it's good to have aspirations. I think it's very interesting to keep an eye out on metaverse, on everything that's happening technology-wise. It's interesting to just be at the forefront in terms of knowledge, at least. But aspirations, when they're that far away from your current challenges, there is a problem there. So my advice, don't get sucked into the hype. Focus on your biggest challenges and then move on. The second reason why we struggle to bridge that gap between what we know would work and what we actually do is something that I like to call the Dismartech syndrome. By show of hands, have you ever heard of the Dismartech syndrome? Good. No one is lying, because I just invented that word yesterday. The Dismartech syndrome, which is very similar, you can hear it, dyslexia. This is a prefix that's grounded in Greek, and it means difficulty in coding. So I think one of the main reasons, apart from the psychology of the hype, is also our difficulty in coding the marketing and technology landscape around us. And I think I can break it down to 3 key core elements, and if I'm missing anything, again, I just invented the word. My company is not to be held responsible. Come discuss with me at the IBEX booth. So I'll be very happy to discuss that. So that could be broken down. The Dismartech syndrome could be broken down into 3 key elements. First of all, a difficulty in coding, understanding, comprehending, utilizing data because of its complexity. Sometimes it's everywhere, sometimes it's not unified, it's not transformed, we don't know what to do with it. So it's a difficulty decoding data in general. The third syndrome of this MarTech problems is that we have difficulty decoding all the technicalities, all the technologies that are present in what I like to call today the MarTech swamp. It's no longer an ocean. My colleagues have shown a picture of what the MarTech landscape looks like today. I think it's a swamp. So I think there is a difficulty decoding what's available out there and how to make use of it. The third aspect of the syndrome is a difficulty decoding the investment that you'll be making in proceeding with marketing automation. So I'll dig deeper into each of these syndromes. And these syndromes are the basis of why at Actito, with 20 years of experience rooted in marketing automation, we decided to come up with a new architecture that has 4 basic core elements that are very essential to boosting and supercharging your marketing game. So first syndrome, decoding data. Data can come in from different sources. Sometimes it's not unified, it's not transformed, you cannot make sense of it, you cannot use it. And that's where the customer data platform core element of Actito comes in. It helps you collect, transform, unify your data to make sense of it, to then segment it into different targets so that you can personalize your campaigns. Quick example, I'm not sure I can play the video, but basically that's a case with SNCB. If you don't know what SNCB is, it's the equivalent of the German railways. So what they did is, based on different data that were fed into their different systems, whether it's a CRM, a data lake, an ERP, they were able to personalize a campaign to one of their consumers called Gregory. I'm just going to check if I can play the video. Yeah, cool. So they were able to identify where he went. In this case, it was Paris. They were even able to identify the number of kilometers, considering his departure and arrival stations, but also the carbon footprint he managed to avoid. And in this way, they pushed a personalized content. That's an asset that helps them improve their marketing game. Another nice example that I like to pull in the customer data platform bit is the types of data we don't always think about. This is an example of a very famous butcher's chain in Belgium. And what they did is they used this particular type of data that's available to everybody. It's free, it's open, it's real time. Remember real time, I'll go back to it later on. And what they did is that they pulled in that data, and you can see 2 examples of 2 campaigns for 2 different people. One will be blessed with good weather this Friday, and the other one won't. And for the person that's blessed with good weather, for a butcher's chain, that means higher chances for a barbecue. So what they did is they pushed a promo, an offer, with a product that's likely to be consumed under those conditions to that particular person that's going to be blessed with good weather this Friday. And if you take Paul, who's unfortunately living in Brussels, there was no particular promo in that sense. That's the first aspect of this campaign. But what this butcher's chain did, which I find very intelligent as well, is they were able to manage more assets than just to push in a promo code. They were able to manage their stock as well. So what they did is that they did not send the campaign on a Friday. They sent the campaign 2 to 3 days prior to the good weather day. And that way, they could manage their stock. They could also manage their customer expectations. So Gert here didn't come and show up to the butcher's local store and not find the promo offer he was looking for. So they managed stock, but they also improved customer experience through that right time and real-time data. Second syndrome. I think I'm just going to get a sip of water. This is Masterclass, so I can do what I want. Sorry. So first syndrome, difficulty decoding data, making sense of data, and using data. How we answered that? Through the CDP. Second syndrome is difficulty decoding technology and what's available out there in the marketing technology landscape. And that's where the 20 years of experience rooted in marketing automation comes in handy. Our marketing automation platform will help you orchestrate the data and the scenarios and the campaigns and personalize your assets to make them a vessel for improving your marketing strategy. And this is an example of what you should not do. This is actually a screenshot from my own inbox. You'll notice there is the same date on all the emails. It's the 30th of April. It was last week. 30th of April was my birthday, but it was also a special birthday because I turned 30 on the 30th of April. And none of these brands managed to remember my name. None of them. None of them wished me a happy birthday, except for the only one I opened. And that shows you, from a personal user experience, what impact automating such information can have. Third and last syndrome, I promise. It's difficulty. Oh, sorry, that's still the second one. It's difficulty putting in place those marketing automation projects, the customer activation projects, because it's difficult sometimes to justify the time and the resources it will take. And if you expect me to just say, oh, at Actito we do it in 48 hours, I'll be lying. We don't. But we do have improved efficiency. But what we do have, and what you could utilize as well, is something called marketing analytics and attribution. Projects will take time. Rome was not built in a day. But what you can prove is your ROE, your return on investment. And that's what this model helps you do. Understand, visualize, optimize, and recommend future actions to boost and supercharge your marketing game. I like to present this case. I'll quickly go over it. This is Damar. If you don't know Damar, they're very famous for their thermolactile, not very nice-looking fabric, but keeps you very warm in the wintertime. They're a household name in France and the UK. Over 150 stores. They sell in a multi-channel way, catalog, online, you name it. They do it. Over 10 million contacts in database. And what Damar, when Damar came to Actito, they had a difficulty with their customer loyalty and customer retention. Again, remember, it costs 5 times less to maintain an existing customer than it costs to acquire a new one. So they needed to connect with their consumers on different levels, on different channels, on a regular basis as well, depending on their customers' preferences. What we did with Damar is a 3-step solution design. I won't go in depth. But if you wish to hear more about it, swing by our booth again. So 3 steps: know your audience, seize every opportunity, those touch points where you can implement and use that content as a vessel. So seize every opportunity throughout the customer lifecycle to touch base, make everything personal. And why Damar is important is those results part that can justify your investment in such projects. So what Damar were able to do is an increase of 76% in terms of orders and a double digits in millions in revenue. I cannot say the number. Over 10 million. The extra mile with Damar is product recommendation. And I said earlier, I'll go back to it. It's an extra mile. What Damar did is that they included, and that's thanks to the CDP, but also the orchestration of the content through the Content Hub, the marketing automation. Oh, sorry. What they did, thanks to the CDP, thanks to orchestrating everything through the marketing automation, single user interface, but also the Content Assets Hub, is they were able to push recommended products based on purchase history, but based on profiles of consumers that they were able to segment for their targets. And again, proof, plus 56% in turnover just by including the product recommendation. So if you need proof, you've got marketing analytics core element to Actito that'll help you prove the return on investment on your projects. I'm going back to this figure because I think it's very important. So if you're part of the 24% who managed to do what all of these brands fantastically achieve, good for you. Again, swing by the booth. I'd love to learn from you. If you're not and you're part of the 76%, well, the flip side is you're not alone, right? It's 76%. You're not alone, and you're not alone because you also have an ecosystem today, a lead-in MarTech ecosystem that's here to help you. As my colleague said, today we're part of a group called Quantum. Quantum's mission today is to support you throughout the entire life cycle of your customers, thanks to the different sister companies we have today. We're present in over 8 countries. It's 900 brains working together. Take advantage from that. And what a very essential element is that we are 100% European. So everything will be GDPR compliant. Quantum has brought together this very nice idea of composability. It's the best of breed 2.0. Today, you can compose the solution that best answers to your needs. But we're also very proud to have a mixed DNA. Technology is nothing without humans. And what we promise today is a reduction of acquisition by 50%, an increase in income. You've seen the case of Damar, you've seen the case of the butcher's chain as well, and obviously more effective marketing efforts. Now, I said at the beginning of this presentation that I'm a data scientist, so I like to end with math rather than chemistry. So I like this formula. For us, customer experience, a better customer experience, can only be achieved through personalization. And the secret, not so secret in this case, formula is obviously managing your data, using your data in an automated manner, but through a very essential vessel, which is your content that can be an alchemy phenomenon for you. That was it for me. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. Obviously, if you still have your headsets on and you have any questions, I have a surprise for you. Ask me about activation.
Maybe I have a question. So I was also part of the audience.
Okay.
If you have your content structure in place, and if you have done your homework as we outlined before, and if you then want to, as an ambitious company, want to really accelerate on customer activation, and you want to start with it, what is the say the most often occurring hurdle that you encounter with the clients that want to accelerate this? So
So you've got your content right,
Yes.
and you want to start on your customer activation. I'm going to go back to, because I like this example, the Damar example, and that's part of the solution design we think about when we are with customers. I believe the first step to any solution design is to know your audience. So analyze all the data. There's lots of data. It doesn't have to be many sources of data, but it has to be correlated data that makes sense. So for me, the first step is to understand your audience, and this is the only way you can push the adequate asset to the perfect person in the right time. That would be my answer. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. I promise this was not planned. Again, any questions?
Yes, you're welcome to ask us questions, of course. And I think we have to put on a headset first.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay, maybe we don't have questions. I have a question. Who here works at a marketing team? Okay, not bad. I feel you. Sales departments, customer success management. Ooh, okay. So yeah, if you want to continue the conversation, please swing by the booth. All the cases I've presented today and my colleagues have presented today, we're very happy to dig deeper and obviously present any other cases that might be relevant to your particular industries. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for holding on the hour. And
Especially at lunchtime. Thank you very much. And there might be some questions, so which means that if you would like to ask a question, I would come over to you and hand you the microphone. Thank you very much. You're very welcome to drop by our booth. Oh, there's a question. There's a question. Sorry, it's so dark.
Thanks, guys. Can you hear me? Yes. Awesome. Can the speakers hear me as well? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Can they wave if you can hear me at the front? No, they can't. Hey, yo.
Okay. So
You can't hear me, guys? I think the guy can hear me. Hey, I know. No. The audience can hear me, but the speakers can't. Seems to be pretty mixed.
okay, I think it's not clear whether people should stay or not right now. Is it a question?
Yeah.
Oh.
Can I get the microphone?
Yeah.
I can hear you speak. Can you tell me where are you?
I'm here.
Raise your hand. Oh, yeah. Hi.
Hey, now you can hear me?
Yes, and I can see you.
All right. Your colleague introduced in the beginning a really nice idea, like increasing content pieces value over time. Remember?
Increasing content pieces value over time. Yes.
Okay, but we didn't hear anything about that during the presentation, and I wanted to ask you, for me it's really difficult. If I do all of the personalization stuff, I have a gazillion different variants, but I actually don't know if my initial content piece is increasing in value. Yeah, like seeing a conversion uplift if I have so many personalization differences, and how you manage in that reality the improvement of single content pieces over time.
I think there are two aspects to this question, right? I think there's certainly an element of answer that lies within the A/B testing. So you can do A/B testing through Ibexa Orchestrate by Actito, which means you can test different parameters that are related to that content asset to see what works best. And in that way, you can monitor the effect of the personalization you have and the use you're making of your asset. So A/B testing for sure. Second element, I would say, is the marketing analytics core element, which helps you monitor different KPIs that you would be able to define depending on your target from pushing that particular asset. That would be my answer. Does that make sense?
Maybe there is a re-question.
Follow up?
No, just thanks, like A/B testing on a parameter level. I wouldn't have thought about that. That's awesome.
Also, don't forget, you can A/B test different elements of a single campaign, which includes an asset. You can A/B test the asset in itself, textual elements, the subject.
Thanks for the great question, by the way.
So it's a question for you. You said in the beginning you're using one pool for the content for different channels. So how do you prevent duplicate content?
Well, it's all about managing the content repository, right? So we have, say, if in the technically speaking, yeah, you have this content repository where the content is there once, and the system then assures that the content is just referenced elsewhere. So there's just a reference to other locations, for instance, where this content is used. And if you stick to this referencing, say, framework, you will have one content repository and will have references to many locations. Can be websites, apps, whatever. And if the content is amended, then of course it will be changed in all the referenced locations. This has, in the beginning, not so much to do with AI. You don't need AI to do that, because this is an incremental part, for instance, of Ibexa DXP, to have this logic in place. AI comes into play, I think, at a later stage, or at an earlier stage in the editorial process, in content creation. And of course, say, if a product like a DXP develops, and of course we also have a roadmap that is heavily driven by AI, you will then think about things like trust, transparency, which contents have been created with AI, the use of AI, solely with AI, to think in terms of these things to increase trust of a brand in a company. But coming back to your question, so it's based on a central repository management. There's room for more questions. Okay, see no hands up. Thank you very much for taking the lunch break with us together and now have a real lunch. And yeah, please drop by at our booth, Abexa, Actito, and the Quantum Group. And we are in hall number A4. A4, you find us there with a big sign. And happy to answer your questions there as well.
We offer coffee.
Yes.